I would like to call the Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Sunday. Here. Mumgard. Here. Gaines. Here. Glover. Jaworski. Here. Klug. Stubbe. Here. Engberg. Here.
We have a couple of scouts with us from St. Paul Troop 463. I'd like to invite them up to lead us in the pledge. Gentlemen, come on up.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. We have a couple of presentations tonight. One's a special one. Not that the other one isn't either, but this one is. We've got a retirement. I'd like to invite Rich up, and I'd like to invite Nick up as well. And where is Rich? There he is. Come on up, Rich. And as Rich is coming up, I'd like to have Nick maybe share a few words.
So I wrote something about you, Rich, just a little bit. So my name is Nick Adams. A lot of you might not know, the Chief Water Superintendent. I met Rich June of 2007. I remember Rich first. He was a quiet, shy, reserved man. But don't let that fool you. Once you get to know him, he opens up a little more. I've tried to prove him wrong a couple times, and let's say that did not end in my favor. And he also likes to enjoy the fact that I was wrong and he was right. My first fond memory of Richard was his kindness when I had my first child. I came back to work and I had a gift bag of items from him and his wife. I never forgot that moment. It was one of the many kind generosities that Richard bestowed onto his employees. I left Papillion in 2012, needing to chase my career path for some reason and wanting to move forward, looking for something more but didn't know what that was. It was once I came back to Papillion in 2017 to work with Rich when I found what I was looking for. It was a place that treated people with decency, respect, and a sense of purpose in a career. I didn't understand until working closely with Rich again. Rich always shows compassion to his crew. The countless grill-outs, the Thanksgiving meal, or the Christmas cards that mysteriously appear at the water plant's Christmas tree labeled from Santa. These acts of kindness is what I was missing. It was the feeling Rich had for his team, the close family, the pride of his work, to where to feel like it was your own. So Rich and I were talking today about the growth of Papillion and the changes the city has encountered, and it got us thinking. When the treatment plant came in line in 1979, it was treating only 350 million gallons for the entire year to an estimated of 8,000 people. Currently, we pump 1.9 billion gallons of water for about 37,000 people. That's counting all the SIDs. Richard is here when the Papillion had an active sewer plant. I'm guessing a lot of you guys don't even know that Papillion actually had a sewer plant in this town. It was over by Halleck, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Richard's been here 45 years, numerous supervisors, public works directors, administrators, mayors, councils. In that time, numerous plant expansions, water main breaks. We don't like to use that word, but we'll use it here. And it's crazy to me what he has experienced. And then I kind of researched and looked at it what 45 years means. Does anybody here know what the average time spent at one job? It's 4.1 years. 4.1. And then it drops to 2.8 years from the ages of 25 and 34 years. And I'm glad we don't have any of our new guys here to hear all that. We have 7 new employees, and they're all in that range. So I asked Rich, why did you stay so long? What made you want to stay here? And his response was family. He goes, this is my home, this is my baby, and this is when it clicked to me. This is what I wanted to feel. It was a place of belonging and a place to feel like home, a place where I grew up. So I end this and say, thank you, Richard, for your countless selfless acts of dedication to this water plant. And I hope that we can live up to your standards that you have set forth for this career and home. You're one of a kind and a dying breed of individuals who have dedicated one's entire life to this utility, and we thank you for it.
Got two other things. Since we got a lot of people here who may not know about it, we got an iron butterfly, and actually there's not very many of these. If you look at them and you go down Schramm Road, you actually see them on the fence posts. But when those were designed, they were actually, I don't know if it's patent or service mark, but they were protected, and only a certain number of them were made, and I think there's no more at the forge. We've got them all, so when we give them out, it's a very limited number that are left, and I don't know if we'll recreate them again. So it just says, to Richard, presented May 3rd, 2022 for 45 years of dedicated and faithful service to the citizens and staff of the city of Papillion. So I want to give you that. And also got an official proclamation that I'd like to read, recognizing the retirement of Richard Heidenreich, Water Superintendent, and honoring him for 45 years of outstanding service to the City of Papillion. Whereas Richard began his career in public works with the City of Papillion on April 1st, 1977, as Parks Maintenance 1 employee, moved to the water treatment plant on April 8, 1981, became a Water Operator 3 on October 31st, 2001, and was promoted to Water Superintendent on February 18, 2007. Whereas Richard has faithfully and conscientiously served the City of Papillion and its citizens for 45 years, during which time the city and its water system have experienced phenomenal growth and development. Whereas these years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the health and safety of the community through his contributions in the supply of potable drinking water. Whereas Richard's numerous efforts during his employment with the City of Papillion will continue to have an impact on the city for years to come. Whereas Richard has assisted thousands of water customers over the years and has responded to countless water main breaks, which always seem to happen at night on a holiday. Whereas Richard has been a valuable and dedicated employee, and his legacy of knowledge and service to the City of Papillion will carry on. Now, therefore, I, David P. Black, Mayor of the City of Papillion, do hereby present this proclamation to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Richard Heidenreich for 45 years of dedicated service and countless contributions to the City of Papillion. We wish you and your family the very best in retirement. You want to say anything?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. We have another presentation, not as special, but a nice guy. Andrew Rainbow, Gross Sarpy.
All right. Well, I would say I appreciate that remark. I appreciate. Thanks to Rich for as someone who grew up on Papillion water. I'm glad it was there for me. All right. Okay. I'm here to present Sarpy. I almost said it again. Grow Sarpy. We used to be the Sarpy County Economic Development Corporation. Changed our name to Grow Sarpy.
Hey, Andrew. Just because we got a lot of people here who may not be familiar, can you explain just briefly what Grow Sarpy is, and then also pick up the mic? It needs to be close to your mouth.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, Grow Sarpy is the economic development entity for Sarpy County. We are partners with the Greater Omaha Chamber, the Greater Omaha Economic Development Partnership. So we are one of, I think we are 8 counties now that all work together to attract and grow businesses in the Omaha economic region. So we work together to promote Omaha and work projects. And I am located down at the Omaha Chambers where I office out of, and we work directly with them, and they help us and we help them grow jobs and investment in Sarpy and Omaha. So the first quarter is obviously not a whole lot of trends you can draw from the first quarter of the year, but we did have a relatively really good first quarter. I'm going to compare a lot of it back to the first quarter of last year, which was kind of off the charts. So I want to put that out there. That it's hard to compare it to the first quarter of last year, which was started a record year for us. And then also, we don't have all the information in yet. Sarpy County is still working on their March numbers, so this is really kind of incomplete data, but we wanted to get it out to you. Papillion's is complete, so your numbers are all there, but if you aggregate it all up, we're going to be a little bit short because we're missing some March numbers from Sarpy County, excuse me. But with that, I'll start with our report card. So on the first page of the handout, you'll see kind of our report card for Grow Sarpy, what we've been working on. We did land one project in the first quarter, a small kind of startup company called Holo Sale. I got to give a lot of credit to the Sarpy County Chamber, who probably did more work than we did, to be quite honest. We worked with them a little bit, but they are actually located within the Sarpy County Chamber at this moment. Startup software developer that is looking to grow here in Papillion and serve customers across the region. So we logged out about $100,000 in investment in 5 new jobs. And so we do have about 3 or 4 other projects that we're just kind of waiting to land, and several of those are in Papillion here. So they'll be coming here down the road quite quickly, and I think some of them are probably on either your planning or your city council agendas already. All right, our project pipeline for the year so far, we opened 11 opportunities. 8 of those are new to market, so those are companies that are looking at moving to Sarpy County. 3 of those are existing companies that are already here. And then those types of projects, we break out the types of new to market projects. And so we had 5 manufacturing, which is, we've seen a lot of that lately. We had 3 office service and 1 warehouse distribution. One trend that we've seen over the last 18 months, I would say, is an uptick in manufacturing, and kind of our warehouse projects are slowing down, which is odd because we're still building a ton of warehouse space and we have very little vacancy. So I think one answer to that might be that people are kind of bypassing Grow Sarpy and just going straight to brokers because we've got space available and on the market. So they don't need to come to us and find ground and find a builder or find a developer. They're just going straight to the market and finding what they need. So that if you're driving around, you see all these warehouses, or you're seeing all these warehouses you're permitting, that doesn't mean the market's slowing down, I don't think. It just means we're not necessarily working with them. Business interactions, we've had 8 business retention expansion visits. So we have a goal of about 50 for the year, so we need to pick that up a little bit, but 8's a pretty good start for the year. 5 business assistances and 6 other business interactions. All right, on the switching over to the economic indicators report, as I mentioned, some of these numbers are not complete. Papillion's are. Papillion had a great first quarter of building permit valuations, total of almost $90 million. And so again, if you compare that to the $600 million you had last year, I know at least in the first quarter of last year we permitted Amazon, and we maybe even got a data center in there too. So that $600 million from last year is inflated by a couple projects, but you can see you guys had the most in the county there. Gretna was close behind with $88 million. We didn't have any approved new, what we considered new office or industrial business lots. Gretna's got some that they platted this first quarter. On the single family side, you guys platted almost 140 lots. Gretna was not far behind, and Bellevue had 10 as well. So that was platted lots. On the permit side, Gretna was out in front with almost 180, and Papillion had a good first quarter too with 120. So we continue to see a pretty good ratio of lots to permits, which is I think the sign of a pretty healthy market. Nobody platted any multifamily units across the county in the first quarter, and then you can see those labor market statistics below. And it's not surprising anybody, that we have a very tight labor market. But if you wanted the empirical data, we put together a little chart. You might have seen if you were at our first quarter investor meeting. I think Josh presented this, but it's just kind of a chart over about going back to January of 2019, looking at the growth of our labor market and the continued decline of our unemployment rate. So we're almost back to our high point of a little over 100,000 people that we reached in July of 2019, and that would be our labor supply. So we're almost back to our pre-pandemic levels, but we are below our lowest. Well, we're not at the lowest, but we're close to the lowest of where we've been on unemployment rated. I think we're at 2.8% right now. So again, that's probably not a surprise if you've talked to anybody that's trying to hire somebody. It's getting expensive, and it's getting even harder and taking longer than it typically does. So not something that's great for economic development. We like to have more supply of labor, but we'll keep on doing what we can do. With that, I'll answer any questions if anybody has any for me.
Council have any questions? Appreciate the partnership, Andrew.
All right,
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, Second by Councilman Sunday. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Ingberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. I got ahead of myself on the agenda. Administrator's report. Ms. Powers.
Thank you, Mayor Black. Thank you to the Papillion and La Vista Public Works Departments for holding another busy and well-attended cleanup days. The staff does a great job each year helping the citizens, and it's really a true benefit to the community. Congratulations to Jill Retner. Jill was awarded the 2022 Full-Time Employee of the Year Award, and we presented that this morning to her, surprised her this morning. So Jill has been with the city for 5 years and has been in an administrative support role with the Public Works Department for the last 3.5 years. Congrats, Jill, well deserved. Thank you to Tony, the Parks Department, and the Papillion Tree Board for hosting another great Arbor Day celebration on April 30th. It was well attended and held at Terra Hills Park. The sewer agency's groundbreaking was held on April 20th. It was a great event to reflect on the many years of work to get to this point and the monumental occasion for Sarpy County and the future growth. In the 107th Nebraska Legislature's second session adjourned sine die on April 20th. United Cities will now shift its focus to potential bills for future sessions. So let Mayor Black or myself know if you guys have anything that you would want us to research or start looking at for future legislative sessions. And then just a couple quick reminders. The Papillion Half Marathon will be on May 15th and starts at the Landing Field House. If you can't participate but still want to help volunteer at one of the stations, just let either Robin or myself know and we'll get you signed up. And then finally, the Sarpy Chambers 2022 State of the County will be held at the Papillion Landing on Thursday, May 19th from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. And again, just let Robin or myself know if you want to get signed up for it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is item D1, Ordinance 1963, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from AG Agricultural to LI Limited Industrial for the property legally described as a tract of land located in the northeast quarter, Section 3, Township 13 North, Range 11 East of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the southwest corner of South 156th Street and Schramm Road. The applicant's Hubble Realty, Sarpy West Industrial. Sir, a council member will introduce. Introduced by Councilman Stube. Item D2, Ordinance 1964, an ordinance to create special revenue funds for Papio Bay and Papillion Landing. Sir, a councilman will introduce. Introduced by Councilman Jaworski. Item F1, Ordinance 1962, an ordinance to approve an amendment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1962? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Council discussion, I'll make a couple of comments. There were a couple of questions asked at the public hearing last meeting, so I wanted to make sure that we got those since we couldn't have discussion then. There was a question on why we're approving a 1% increase to the budget when the current usable funds and reserves exceed capital requirements. It said that there seems to be a request to increase the budget each year, and how many times have we done it, and is that needed or done by default? And then another one about it, who's in charge of tracking federal relief money. We've been some of it's philosophical. We take a very conservative budget approach when we do the annual budget planning. So we know about what property taxes are going to be, so we go ahead and set the levy. But we take a conservative approach on sales tax, building permits, and if we're aware of any pending donations or grants, if those have not been awarded, we don't count those in because the money's not in hand yet. So from a revenue, we're very conservative, and then of course the expenditures have got to balance. So our normal practice then is somewhere during the fiscal year, if we get actual grants, if we get donations, if the sales we account for those in the budget amendment. If we see an increase in building or sales tax receipts, then we might accelerate some of this planned CIP program or some of the personnel items since the actual revenue is there. And then the question on the federal relief money, we did receive those monies and we are audited very specifically on how those can be spent. And so there's about $893,000 of the CARES Act that's going to the fire department CIP program. And then, like I mentioned, there's a number of donations and grants. We got some ARPA funds, which are the rescue funds from the Nebraska Library Commission that must be used for the library, so we're following that restriction. And then a couple of the other budget amendments that come in the middle of the year. If you're familiar, if you remember our ASIP program that we use for developments where we reserve money for roads funding, Council had approved an agreement with one of the SIDs to use some of the ASIP funding for a road, so that budget amendment is in here for that project. And then in the budget process, we had reserved dollars in the restricted parks and golf fund for parks and golf, but we had not authorized the specific projects. The Parks Ad Hoc Committee met and made recommendations of the specific projects, so no, those are in the budget amendment as well to give the authorization. So general overview of the budget process and the items in here. Any other council discussion? Mr. Sunday.
I just want to take this opportunity to point some things out. In addition to the significant CARES Act funds that the city receives, I note that our property tax revenues and sales tax revenues both have increased very, very significantly since 2019 to the year 2021. And when I say very significantly, in one case it's 137%, in the other case I think it's 47%, but my number might be slightly off there. But we aren't giving any tax relief to our taxpayers, and I think that should change. I think we should find a way to give some of that back in the form of lowering Papillion's property tax levy to homeowners here in this community. We are swimming in cash right now, and in many cases, I think the city doesn't know what to do with the money, but is looking for a way to spend it. I would urge the council and the mayor to work closely together in the coming months to find a way to cut that levy, because it's a windfall for the city right now, and it's at the expense and on the backs of our taxpayers. And I will acknowledge that Papillion does have currently the lowest tax levy of any city in Sarpy County, but I don't think that's good enough. I still think it's too high, and I would urge everybody to consider working with me to get that done this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just for education, a couple of things. The large increase in the sales tax, it's important for people to realize that a lot of the sales tax receipts are actually under a state program where we must rebate those back to the company, but that rebate might not occur for several years. And so when we get the large receipts that are kind of an anomaly, we reserve those for that future rebate. So we do cap, so that's some of the large reserve. And thanks for the note on property tax. It's actually the lowest in Douglas and Sarpy County. And we did do a reduction in the levy this budget year, and I think it's always our goal to keep looking at that, so appreciate that as well. Any other council discussion? If not, please vote.
Sunday. Mumgard. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F2, Resolution R220059, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a catering liquor license for Elegant Edge Events LLC, doing business as the Fireside. It's a public hearing. I'll open it. Do we have any proponents? Is the applicant here? Okay, thank you. We got a fairly quick meeting. You want to come up and give a quick promotion on what you're doing? I don't think council's got any questions, but if they do, but.
Yeah, it's just a catering liquor license. We have the liquor license currently at the Fireside Banquet Room, where we hold many events, weddings, graduation parties, showers, everything like that. So the catering designation is so we could take that and go do parties off-site from that location. So to go along with our catering business. So this month is crazy for us. It's graduation palooza, so we are doing a lot of things. So just kind of hoping to add that to our repertoire. So.
Remind us where Fireside is, because I think people hear the name and still associate to the old location.
With the old one, yeah. It's at 841 Terra Plaza. It's called the Fireside Banquet Room, and it's right next to Grecian Gyros, between that and the Genesis Health Club right there.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Yep.
Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R220059? Motion by Councilman Gaines. Second by Councilman Stube. Any discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F3, Resolution R220066, a resolution to amend the 2021-2022 salary ranges for management and exempt positions and include newly created positions. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R220066? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilman Stube. Any discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
I got out of order again. I got to read my notes. Resolutions need a proponent and opponent, so I'll call. Are there any proponents or opponents on that motion? All right, thank you. Item F4, Resolution R220067, a resolution to approve the appointment of Mark Sturzma as Deputy Administrator of Community Development. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R220067? Motion by Councilman Sunday, second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents or opponents? Want me to wait for opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F5, Resolution R22. We're going to do them at the end. Resolution R220068, a resolution to approve the appointment of Travis Gibbons as Planning Director. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R220068? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Jaworski. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion. Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item F6, Resolution R220069, a resolution to approve the appointment of Deputy Public Works Director of Engineering, Alex Evans, as the City Engineer. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R220069? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilman Stube. Proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
We have the oath of office for the three. We were going to do them individually, but it's pretty much the identical one, and it's long, so I figured we'll do them together. So, gentlemen, if you want to go ahead and come on up. And hopefully you've had a chance to see the oath, because if you're just reading it out of context, it sounds like you're swearing to things you may not want to do, but I'm assuming you've seen it, haven't you? All right. Yeah, 18 years ago. I think it's longer than the president's. We'll do the first sentence by itself, just so people are aware, and we'll just start. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially do them individually. Perform the duties of I'm glad they know who they are. According to law and to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate nor am a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, and that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence. So help me God. Congratulations. 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 I'll just finish it up here. It's the end of all the regular agenda items. We did have one committee meet, Finance and Administration. Mr. Ingberg, you're the chair, aren't you? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Administration Committee met tonight to discuss the leasing of city right-of-way and a master fee schedule to also accompany it. We've had for some time a need to clean up some of the language and codify some of the leasing of city right-of-way, and the city attorney, Alan Thiessen, did so with some suggestions from the committee, and it's been kind of an ongoing project for some time. After reviewing it, we made a few relatively minor changes, and at a future council meeting, the council will have that leasing of the city right-of-way and accompanied by the changes in the master fee schedule to go along with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the floor? Yes, sir. And if you'd state your name and address for the record, welcome.
Edward Weniger, 1709 Ridgeview.
Can you pick the mic up too?
Yeah.
It just needs to be real close.
So I believe there have been some conversations about the 84th and 370 construction and how it's going to impact Trumbull Park. And I know I can't ask questions here, but just wanted to see if you have an update, even though you can't answer my questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Any council comments? Just a couple things from the last couple of weeks. The Sarpy County City's wastewater agency had the groundbreaking ceremony for the first pipe going in the ground. So that'd be a big development for the southern part of Sarpy and benefit both Springfield and Papillion directly in the first phase. Google made their next announcement. They announced a third location in Nebraska for a data center that'll be in Omaha. But part of that, what was not publicly mentioned as far as how the dollars are being spent, some of that expenditure is still capital improvements in the Papillion campus. So we'll continue to see some growth and development there within the ground they've already got. Myself and a number of staff members had the opportunity to go tour the Papillion Foods facility. It's the old Shopko Distribution Center at 132nd and 370. It's over 500,000 square foot facility, and if people are not aware, it's a division of Hormel, and they make the high-end charcuterie products. So if you go to Hy-Vee and buy like high-end charcuterie, it's probably coming out of the Papillion facility, and it's actually a brand that I think was about over 100 years old, if I remember right, and the plants were in California. They needed to do some expansion, and they wanted to serve all the coasts, and they couldn't do that from California in a one-day distribution, so they were looking for a Midwest site, and because we had vacancy, they could almost immediately move in and retrofit, so we ended up with that major distribution center for Hormel, and now this is where they can get to both coasts, the Gulf and Canada in one day. So a very big investment, and potentially a large number of employees. And the nice thing about them as an employer, No skills, no certifications, and even in some cases, maybe somebody who's historically unemployable can walk in and I think get a wage of about $18 or $19 an hour starting, and that includes benefits, health, dental, vision, 401k, and their goal is to keep those people for career employees, so they do teach them skills and certification. So excellent addition to the community, and they're being a good community member. We also have had several meetings with the Papillion Community Foundation. Again, they have a new director, Joe Hunter, and he's been doing a good job building a relationship with the city and tackling Papillion Days as his first major event. And so we've been having some good meetings with him. And then Mr. Gowan and myself attended a presentation yesterday for Honor and Remember flag presentation. That's the official flag for Killed in Action. You'd recognize, you see it, the red back with the KIA on there. And as part of Papillion's Veterans Park, we will be hosting the Honor and Remember flag, as it is a formally recognized flag by the state of Nebraska. I think that's all the major things from the calendar the last couple of weeks. Anything else from council?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do have a question. It kind of goes in line with the comment you made about having money in reserves for sales tax, and you mentioned Google, and last time we met as a council, there's an indication that there's a potential for an employer coming to the Papillion area that is going to generate over 100 jobs. And so when we get into those situations where companies are utilizing the Imagine Nebraska Act, getting potential reimbursement, one, we don't have any idea if those companies have applied, right? And we don't have any idea as far as when those companies may ask the state for reimbursement. But once they do, then the city is automatically required to reimburse the state for the requests made by those employers. Is that correct?
Generally true, and we've had minor progress with the legislature in getting some changes, because what you said is exactly the way it had been. Some of the small progress we've made. So if people hear Nebraska Advantage, LB 773, there's a couple of other names. That's the state's economic development program. And what they're doing when a new business comes into Nebraska, if they qualify and apply for that program, they get a rebate of their sales tax paid. The way sales tax works in Nebraska, and it's to the point that Mr. Sunday was making, a large employer comes in or a large builder comes in, we see a huge spike in sales tax that we were not expecting, and that comes to us. We get sales tax receipts 2 months after it's paid. So December sales, we get the sales tax in February, March. I get mixed up there. But when we get that sales tax check from the state, there is no backup documentation of what made that up. We don't know what sales produced that. We just get a check, and the state will not tell us what makes that up. But under that rebate program, if somebody qualifies and they qualify for a rebate, we're holding the money. So when they apply for their rebate, we're the ones that have to give the money back, not the state. But the state didn't tell us how much they qualify for. And under some of the programs, they've got up to, I think, 7 years to make the claim. So what we have done, and it used to be the way the state collected is when they paid the rebate, they would just hold that out of your next check. There's one city in Nebraska that a few years ago went an entire year without their budgeted sales tax because that's how much had to get rebated. La Vista's seen some very significant impacts where they budgeted based on normal dollars and then a rebate was claimed and they didn't get a check for a month or so. La Vista was probably the leader in the state, and then we picked it up very quickly, and I think Nancy, our finance director, has probably fine-tuned it the most of anybody in the state. What we've done is created our own model. So she looks at our sales tax receipts every month, and if there's a big spike or an anomaly like Mr. Sunday mentioned, we know something occurred. We may not know what occurred, but we know something occurred. And so what she's done is build historical trends of what our normal sales tax is, and then we make an assumption that the spike is probably a large employer that made a large sale that's probably going to be rebated, and so we'll take that anomaly and we'll sweep it over into a reserve and then hold that reserve until the state makes a claim. And we just recently were notified of a large pending claim that if we didn't have that in process, it probably would have chewed up most of our reserves. But because we've got that policy in place, we were able to handle that reserve. So sometimes people look at our balance sheet and said, you're sitting on a lot of cash. A lot of that's that sales tax reserve that we're holding. The other thing that we were able to get the legislature to change, I think about 4 years ago, they used to take the entire amount out of your next check. We've gotten the state now, the legislature made a change, so the Department of Revenue now, if the rebate's over a certain dollar amount, they must now notify us that it's going to be coming, and they've got to give us, is it a year's notice? There's a period of time they have to notify us before they take it, and I think there's even a case then where they'll take it over a short period of time, but you're generally right. So, any other council discussion or questions? Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Gaines. Second by Councilman Sunday. Please vote.
Sunday. Mumgarde. Gaines. Jaworski. Stube. Engberg. 6 yeas, 0 nays.
We are adjourned.